I left home at 18 with $327 in my checking account, one duffel bag, and a college acceptance letter my family insisted I didn't deserve. My father told relatives I had probably gotten lucky. My uncle said schools were lowering their standards. My older brother laughed and told everyone I'd be back before Christmas once I realized I wasn't as smart as I thought I was. The funny thing was that none of them said these things directly to me. I heard everything through cousins, aunts, and family friends. Every insult somehow found its way back to me. For a long time, I wanted to defend myself. I wanted to explain how hard I had worked to earn that acceptance. The late nights studying, the scholarships I applied for, the part-time jobs I worked, the sacrifices nobody saw. But eventually I realized something important. People who have already decided your story rarely care about hearing your side of it. So I stopped arguing. The day I left home was painfully ordinary. My mother gave me a quick hug before walking back inside. My father shook my hand like I was some distant coworker leaving for another company. My brother didn't even come downstairs. I loaded my duffel bag onto a bus, sat by the window, and watched my hometown disappear behind me. Nobody cried. Nobody told me they would miss me. Nobody asked me to come back soon. College was harder than anything I had imagined. I worked nearly 30 hours a week while carrying a full course load. There were weeks when I survived on cheap noodles and peanut butter because groceries had to last until payday. During holidays, most students went home to their families. I stayed on campus because I couldn't afford the travel costs. I spent Thanksgiving eating vending machine snacks in an empty dorm building. I spent Christmas studying alone in the library. Through all of it, my phone rarely rang. Nobody from my family called to ask how I was doing. Nobody asked if I needed help. Nobody checked whether I was struggling. After a while, I stopped expecting them to. 4 years later, I graduated with honors. I sent my father a picture of me holding my diploma. His response arrived 2 hours later. Nice job. That was it. No congratulations, no celebration, just 2 words. A few years later, I landed my first major career position. I was excited enough to call home. When I told my father the salary, he laughed. That's not real money. Then he spent 10 minutes telling me how much more successful other people my age were. When I hung up, I promised myself something. I would stop looking for approval from people who had already decided I wasn't worth approving. So I focused on building my life. Years passed, I changed jobs, learned new skills, took risks, failed more than once, started over more than once. Slowly, things improved. Eventually, I launched a consulting business. The first year was terrifying. The second year was slightly less terrifying. By the 5th year, I had employees. By the 8th year, we had clients across multiple states. For the first time in my life, I felt stable. Not rich, not famous, just secure. Then one random article changed everything. A business magazine published a feature about entrepreneurs in my industry. I happened to be included. There was a photo, a short interview, and a brief summary of my company. I barely thought about it. Apparently, my younger cousin saw the article online. He showed my brother showed my father showed everyone else. The messages started arriving the next morning. At first, there were only 3, then 8, then 15. By the end of the second day, I had 31 unread messages waiting for me. People I hadn't heard from in years suddenly remembered my phone number. My aunt wrote a long message about how much she missed me. An uncle claimed he had always known I would succeed. A cousin talked about all the childhood memories we shared and how family should stay connected. Reading those messages felt like stepping into an alternate reality where none of the previous 11 years had happened. Then the requests started. One cousin wanted help finding a job. Another wanted advice for a business idea. An uncle needed financial assistance. Someone wanted an introduction to one of my clients. Someone else wanted investment money. Every conversation followed the exact same pattern. First came the small talk, then came the compliments, then came the request. The most shocking call came from my father. It was the first time we had spoken in nearly 3 years. I answered because part of me hoped he was calling for a different reason. Maybe he wanted to reconnect. Maybe he wanted to apologize. Maybe he simply wanted to say he was proud. Instead, within 2 minutes, he said something that immediately told me why he had called.